Good afternoon, America. Good afternoon, Rochester, New York. Welcome to the Got Freedom Podcast here on the We the People Podcast Network. Your host, Chad Hummel. Got freedom, right? It's a great question to ask yourself. Every morning when you wake up, after you stretch, or maybe before you stretch, at your choosing, ask yourself, do I have freedom? ... And if you don't, join my podcast. Learn how to gain some more freedom. In the studio, Austin, our producer on the We the People Podcast Network.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
There he is. There's the man, Austin from Rock Vox Productions, right?
Yes,
did I say
sir.
that right?
Yeah, you did it. Good job.
I said it nice and slow and deliberate.
Oh my goodness.
You have to pronounce all of your consonants and vowels, right?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
good,
that's how speaking works.
just good public speaking, right?
Absolutely.
And you know, not that I want to go off on a tangent right at the beginning of the show, but public speaking is kind of a lost art. And, you know, I probably grew up and was educated in kind of the last generation, you know, where public speaking was focused on. I don't know. I don't even know if
I took public speaking in high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I took it in high school. I was deathly afraid of it. So I'm not sure how I ended up as a litigator, a courtroom litigator, and a podcaster, because I was deathly afraid of public speaking. I would be sick on the days when I had to present my projects. Hopefully my parents aren't listening. I would do anything and everything to get out of public speaking. When I had to give a book report, I tried to, you know, do it from my seat if I could. I tried to act like there was something wrong and the teacher would hopefully feel sorry for me. I hated public speaking. I was very nervous about standing up in front of people and speaking. At some point, right up and through law school, when I was in law school and we had to do mock trial, I feared it. Didn't want to do it. I dreaded it. I don't know. I would say at some point, maybe near the end of my first into my second year of practicing law, going to court routinely, the first couple of years of practicing law at the firm I was with, I was in court probably daily, multiple times on most days. And eventually I just got over it. Just became second nature, kind of like riding a bike. So, but what I was getting at was over the years, I've even seen my own public speaking skills start to decline. And I would attribute it to what? What do you think we might attribute it to, assuming I'm correct, that public speaking is kind of gone in the toilet?
Are you talking about cell phones and texting? And
Oh man, you got it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Look, I've always said, you know, public speaking is all about, you know, that face to face. You want to see someone's face when they're talking, you know, look them in the eye.
You want to see their thumb?
Yeah.
I'm talking to a freaking thumb, and the guy behind the screen with the hat and the thumb is telling us about face-to-face public speaking. There's something wrong with this picture, literally and figuratively. Actually, there's nothing wrong with the picture. It's a great picture.
Right? It's the best picture.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on from public speaking into, what's the name of the show?
It's too long.
That was not a rhetorical question.
Yeah, no, it's too long. It's got cut off the top of our screen here. It's a
nice.
Are you a boy or are you a vile something? Left-wing lunatic.
Are you a boy or are you a vile left-wing lunatic? It's a relevant question. It's a relevant question. By the end of the show at around 9:30 tonight, we'll see if we can answer that. But we're going to start with this. So last night, Monday night, was the men's, which is, you know, of course, no pun intended, no play on words, but that's what we're going to get into here. Apparently it was the men's, if there's such a thing, the men's college national basketball championship between Kansas and North Carolina, UNC, the Tar Heels of North Carolina. But I don't really want to talk about the game necessarily. What I want to talk about to kick things off is the inundation of the Buick commercials that ran throughout the men's national championship games through March Madness. So if you follow March Madness, and even if you don't, bear with me and I'll explain to you what I'm getting at. Buick, right? The car manufacturer, Buick ran must have been tens of millions of dollars worth of ads throughout the men's college national championship tournament for the past 3 weeks. And I want to play one of those commercials for you. And I would say I probably watched at least 5 games from start to finish, and I watched bits and pieces of at least a dozen or so other games over the past 3 weeks. And I saw these commercials, I would say at least every commercial break. So I don't know how many commercial breaks are in a college basketball game. I would venture to say 4 to 5 per half at least. So at least 10 times per game. There was over 60 games played in the men's championship, and these were the commercials that were being played. This is just one of the 3, but I want to play this one in particular and then talk about it. So Austin, if we could play that commercial.
Who's going to be the hero tonight? 3 seconds for a national championship or overtime. Ogunbowale for the win. Good! Enrique Ogunbowale wins the national championship for Notre Dame. Enrique does it again.
All right, so with one watching of that and reading the script on the screen, well, let me stop there. Austin, had you seen those commercials before?
No, I had never seen that commercial before.
Okay, so as quickly as you can, tell me what your first impression of that commercial was. Because I'm looking at it from the standpoint where I've seen this commercial 30, 40 times already, and I've already kind of, formulated my biases and prejudices about that commercial. But tell me what your quick thoughts are.
My first impression is that Buick has invested in the NCAA and are not getting a return on their investment from the women's division.
So what do you mean by that?
So, I mean, clearly, they're a sponsor of the NCAA, which covers both men's and women's sports, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, so they probably play Buick commercials during both sorts of sporting events, the
men's and the women's.
Right.
Well, that was my first thought was, are they?
I assume they are, because they're like, man, people aren't watching our commercials during these events. Let's, see if we can get some eyeballs on our.
See, that's a great take.
Yeah, that was my first impression.
That's a great take, because that probably piles on to my ultimate conclusion. In fact, reinforces my ultimate conclusion, I think. And that is, obviously, these commercials and what Buick is doing here has nothing to do with giving 2 shits or a rat's ass about women and men, and the difference between women and men, and the difference between the notoriety that women and men get, and the difference between how much money gets spent on women and men's athletics, and the difference between, how nice of a plane the men get to fly to the championship game versus the one that the women have to fly, or maybe they have to walk or hitchhike. I don't know. Clearly, this has nothing to do with that, because quite frankly, there's nothing we can do about that. That's just life, right? Life isn't fair, as they say. This is all about Buick. This is all about marketing dollars and generating customers to buy cars, right? I mean, listen, Buick is not in the business of throwing away the tens of millions of dollars that it costs to run these ads. They're just not. And they're not going to run them unless it's producing a return for them. It's really that simple. So, but there's a lot of different directions to go with this. Let's play that commercial one more time, and I want to freeze it at one point.
Who's going to be the hero tonight?
So this was a game in April of 2018, women's championship game.
For a national championship.
It was a buzzer beater game. Nobody, you probably didn't see it. Let's stop there. See, you probably didn't see it. Well, you probably didn't see it because you didn't give a shit, right? Austin, did you see the game?
No.
Why
I did
not?
not see the game. Well, to be fair,
Because you hate women?
I also didn't catch this Kansas versus NCU game.
Oh, yeah. But that's that's not the point, right?
Okay.
The point is did you see the women's buzzer beater game, right? It was a great game. It went down to the finish. It was exciting. The athletes were the best athletes in the land that year. They went to the championship game where they deserved to be. They got to play on the national stage. They got to play in front of a large crowd. You heard the cheering in the background, right? It wasn't like some angry old white men confined them to play, at an outdoor playground in Alaska in the middle of the winter, right? They played indoors at a big arena in front of a big crowd. And you didn't watch it, Austin. Why? I want to know why you didn't watch the game.
Because I didn't care.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There you go. Right. Just like a good witness under cross-examination. I want to get the answer out of you that I'm looking for. And I didn't watch it either. And I guess I can't say that I didn't care, because I do like watching athletics in sports, but I guess I didn't care either. And I guess every single American, male or female, trans, straight, bi, androgynous, whatever those words were that we learned last week that we still don't understand what they mean. Whatever they are, yeah. So whether you are, I'm gonna lean into the screen here because I'm blind. Whether you're agender, androgynine, demigender, female, gender fluid, you get gender fluids on yourself, gender queer. I thought queer was a bad word. Male, non-binary, other. You prefer not to disclose. I thought you had to disclose. I don't know. I don't understand what any of this means anymore. Whether you're questioning, no matter what you are, I forget where I was going with this. No matter what you are,
you didn't watch the game.
You didn't watch the game, right? Because you didn't care. But here's the kicker, folks. The game was on national television. Every single women's college championship game is on national TV. So if you did care and you wanted to watch, see, there I go with my poor enunciation, my poor public speaking. If you wanted to watch the games, if you wanted to see that game, that clip that Buick is playing, you could have watched it, right? You could have come home, grabbed your popcorn, grabbed your beer, sat down, turned on ESPN or TNT or CBS, whatever channel it was on your cable network that you're paying way too much money for, and you could have watched the game and you could have seen it. But you didn't, because you don't care. And I guess what Buick and all of their wokeness is trying to tell us is we have to care. They're going to force us to care. You can't force me to care, right? You can't force equality upon me or equity or what's the word? Inclusion, diversity. You can't force those things on people. That's not freedom. And on the Got Freedom podcast, we like freedom. And you like freedom too. Even you angry fascists and liberals and whatever you are. And we'll get into that in a minute. We're gonna start defining things on this show, right? Before we have conversations, we need to define terms. We found out about a week or so ago that we were not able to define what a woman is, right? The Supreme Court, she's now going to be nominated. It seems pretty evident. She doesn't know what a woman is. She can't define it. But on this show, we're gonna start defining things so that we can have legitimate conversations. But the game was on TV. You could have seen it. Buick is pretending as if there's some boogeyman that prevented you from watching it, right? There's some, anti-gay, anti-women, anti-lesbian, anti-transgender, don't say gay, don't say this, don't say that. There's some movement afoot that is trying to prevent you from watching women's sports, and it just simply doesn't exist. Think about this for a minute. I wrote it down somewhere. I forgot to bring it with me, but when's the last time you saw college men's golf on TV? Austin, have you flipped through the stations lately? Have you seen any college men's golf on TV?
No, not recently.
How about college men's chess tournaments?
No.
No.
Not.
How about college men's swimming?
Nope.
Well, you've seen college men swim as women on TV, right? Have you seen that?
Yeah, that I
Okay,
think that's
I just want to be
making
clear.
the rounds. Yeah.
So this is all about gender equality, right? And Buick is going to save the freaking world, right? From all of us angry, right-wing, old men who hate women and don't want to turn on the championship game and watch it. They're going to save the world. But nobody seems to give a shit about men's golf, men's college golf, right? There's a reason why men's college golf isn't on TV. There's a reason why the men's college national championship wasn't on TV last night in front on primetime television, because nobody gives a shit. And it's not about gender. It's because nobody gives a shit. Just like nobody gives a shit about the women's game. But actually millions do, right? Like I said, there were tens of thousands of people in the stands that night. You could hear the noise in the background. Okay? And there were probably a couple million national viewers. It is what it is. It's not about gender inequality, right? There's a right. So then
can I say, can I come at this from a like sort of the other angle? You know, there's no movement saying, you know, like, oh, you can't watch this or, you know, whatever. But I bet if it came out that Buick was spending, what was the number they put up? 10% of media attention or something was on.
Well, keep playing the clip there.
Yeah.
So over 40% of the athletes are women, but they get less than 10% of the media coverage.
Right. So if it came out that Buick was spending 10% of their advertising budget on women's things, but 90% on men's things, oh, then the movement is on the other side.
That's right. And now, so along those lines, pull up the article. It was a screenshot from the internet. This was apparently Buick's statement. And again, forgive me, folks. I'm just going to kind of lean in. Unfortunately, you're going to have to take a good, hard, close look at my big, bald forehead here. Buick says it will also run an equal number of paid ads in the women's and men's March Madness tournaments to signal its commitment to gender equality. The first ads will feature moments from women's college basketball, hockey, swimming, blah, blah, blah. So, all right, my question was this before I did a little research and I found that statement. Leave that up there on the screen for a minute for me, Austin, please. So my question was, I wonder if Buick, right, and all of their wokeness even bothered to waste their time running these ads during the women's games, right? Knowing full well that the media coverage is only 10% on the women's side. And I guess that probably correlates to how many, actual potential customers they thought might be watching those games. And that's what advertisers do. Before Buick decides where to spend their ad dollars, they want to know what the TV ratings are, of course. So my question, that I had for myself was, is Buick even running these ads during the women's game? And if they're not, that should certainly be exposed, and that would show what a joke that they are, right? And that this is all about revenue for them too. But then I find this statement, and at first glance, I'm like, shit, Buick says they're doing it. Well, I'm going to be a cynic and I'm going to say, okay, maybe they say they're doing it. I didn't watch any women's games, so I don't know. Maybe if there's somebody out there that actually watched the women's games, they can verify whether or not they saw these commercials during the women's games. But I'm going to take Buick at their word for a minute, right? Because that's what I love to do. I love to take the other side at their word and then still show how they're wrong. Don't let them, use their own words and their own theories against them is the best way to do it. So let's assume for a minute that Buick did run these so-called equal number of paid ads in the women's and men's game. Well, Austin, because he's so freaking smart and astute, he already answered this question. He already took it to the next level, intellectually next level.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to jump ahead of you.
Yeah, you didn't mean to, but you can't help it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're a man.
Of course. Yeah, I was mansplaining it to the audience.
You couldn't help but be intellectually superior.
Well,
because you're a man.
I didn't say that out loud.
And suddenly my female viewership goes in the toilet. I'm just kidding, folks. I'm just kidding. I love my women because I'm a straight man. So anyway, here's the thing though. Buick may have run an equal number of ads, right? 20 versus 20 ads. But you know damn well what the monetary conclusion is, right, Austin? Let me just double check to make sure I understood your point. What do you think they paid for those ads?
Right. Like, what does it cost? So I assume
Let's make up numbers.
Women's sports air on ESPN, right? I'm assuming. Like, where do they air?
Yeah, ESPN.
Okay.
ESPN
I assume how much it costs to run an ad during women's sports is not 10% of what it costs to run an ad during a men's sports.
It might be though, right?
I don't want to say it should be, but I doubt that it is.
What do you think it is?
I bet it's probably pretty close. Just,
Think so?
I would assume so. Just because if it came out that ESPN was charging 9 times more to ads, to
run the ads for the men's games.
Yeah. Then ESPN would suddenly look like hypocrites because they also push all the,
No, you're right. They do. But then to me, that's the overriding point is that they push one thing, but at the end of the day, you just follow the money. I'm convinced, and I don't, it's not even really a question of being convinced. I don't have the statistics, but I would bet a few bucks on it that there's no question in my mind that the ads that Buick is paying for during the men's national championship game are a ridiculous amount more than what they're paying during with the women's game, the corresponding women's game. So the women played Sunday night, and if Buick ran one of those 30-second spots and it cost them $2 million to run it on Sunday, I'm thinking it cost them $4 or $5 million to run it last night.
See,
and that's just the law of economics right there.
My only evidence to the contrary.
No, you're not allowed to present any evidence to the contrary.
Well,
it's objection, hearsay.
You gave me this evidence. It was spot right here.
Uh-oh.
And the fact that they are pushing people to watch women's sports tells me that they're like, we're paying almost as much.
Oh, okay.
And no one's watching it.
All right. So look, now we've come full circle.
Yeah.
So that point is a little bit nuanced, and I get it. And you're probably 1,000% correct, but I don't think that point there is contrary to my point. And I think those 2 points marry up right here. They marry up where, yes, on one hand, Buick can run ads during the women's games for a far less per commercial or per second rate than they do for the men's games. And in my mind, there's no doubt about that. However, to your point, Buick, obviously, they would love to drive up viewership of the women's athletics so that then they can advertise to a bigger customer base. So if Buick is getting some package of ads with ESPN or CBS or TNT, yeah, they want to drive up viewership. So to the extent that they're trying to promote viewership of the women's games, that would certainly benefit, the ad dollars. It would justify the ad dollars they're spending.
Sure, that is a good point. If it's cheaper to run an ad during a women's game, you would want to push viewership towards the women's games. That way you could still get the same amount of eyeballs for less money. All right, know what? Never mind. You convinced me.
But we're getting into the weeds, and we don't like to do that, do we? Chad, look at that. I just referred to myself in the third person. The host of the podcast here, he doesn't like to get in the weeds.
Well, there's Chad.
Yeah. See, look, you're always pulling up evidence to the contrary of what I'm saying. Man,
that's what I do.
That's what the producer does. The producer's here to keep the host, the show host, honest. All right. So let me just wrap it up and we'll move on. The bottom line is this. Yeah, exactly, Stryker. I thought Buick went belly up. I thought so too. I had a Buick once. So Buick is full of shit, right? That about sums it up, in my opinion. Buick's full of shit. Buick is part of this bullshit woke movement, trying to force equality upon you, trying to force you to think a certain way, trying to force you to believe a certain thing, trying to force you to watch something you don't want to watch, right? Through coercion, through shaming, through bullying, right? That's shaming and bullying. They're shaming you and bullying you into watching women's sports when, in fact, it's already on TV. So if you choose to watch it as a free American, if you choose to flip the remote, flip the TV on Sunday night, the game was on ESPN, you could have watched it, you didn't, and now Buick's letting you know that when you turn the game on Monday night, the men's game, that you're a bad person, right? You're a bad person because you didn't watch. That's what it's all about. So that gets us into some definitions. So, people throw around words. I say people, I mean whoever, right? You know who you are. We all throw around these words. We throw around liberalism and fascism and so on and so forth. And quite frankly, we probably think we know what they mean, but do we really know what they mean? So let's define some things. Let's define what fascism is, because that's what these commercials are, in my opinion. So, oh boy, I need a telescope. Can you help me out, Austin? What's the definition of fascism? Can you?
Let's see here. Fascism is a form of far-right authoritarian ultranationalism.
Lie. Keep going.
Characterized by dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposition, and strong regimentation of society and the economy.
Bam. Buick, fascism, right? TNT, CBS, all of the networks that aired these commercials, fascism, corporate fascism, right? They are trying to suppress the opposition, right? You're the opposition. You don't want to watch women's college sports. You don't want to watch men's golf on TV. You don't want to watch the women's national championship game on Sunday night because you don't care, right? You don't think it's a high enough level of competition or a good enough version of the game of basketball. You want to watch the men's game on Monday night. But the opposition, Buick, the wokesters, right? TNT, CBS, those networks, they want to suppress you. They want to force you to do something. They want to force you to follow their principles and their ideas and their mindset. So who's the fascists now? The right-wing conservatives, the right-wing, nut jobs that they call us? Who are the fascists now? Or is it the perceived liberal? Is it the perceived progressive? Is it the perceived Democrat that has now come full circle? And I don't say full circle lightly, right? You've heard my theory of politics. You've heard of my theory on the circle, right? So let's just quickly talk about that. So there's two ways to get to the other side of a circle, right? You can go left or right. So you have this circle, right? Is that a circle? Close enough, right? There's the circle. Okay?
That's a pretty good circle.
It's a pretty good circle, huh? And let's say we start at the top and we head right. Bear with me here. I'm drawing a picture. Terrible at this. We head left. It'll probably be the opposite when I flip it around, right? I drew left and right for me. I don't know what it looks like for you. So how do I get
Yeah, no, that worked.
That work?
Yeah. Good
What
job.
are we doing here? So you go right and you go left.
Yep.
So when you go to the right, you're supposedly a Republican, and I'll fast forward and all of a sudden you end up supposedly, when you go too far right wing, you become a fascist. And I guess, what do you become when you go too far left wing? Become a communist, I think, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Aren't those basically the same thing, really? So you go too far right, you become a fascist. You go too far left, you become a communist. Well, what happens when you get all the way to the bottom, the South Pole? We started off at the North Pole and we went right and we went left. You get all the way to the South Pole. Okay? Do you have to stop and go back? No, you can keep going. So you become a fascist and you go to the other side of the South Pole. Now you're on the left side. So you're a leftist. You can become a fascist by going right. You can become a fascist by going left. I don't care how you got there. You are what you are, right? You don't have to be a Republican first and then a conservative second and then whatever else third and then all of a sudden become a fascist, right? You can go to the left. You can be a Democrat, a progressive, a communist, and then cross over to becoming a fascist. In either way, at the South Pole, you're one of the other. You're either a communist or a fascist. And under both scenarios, you're an authoritarian. You're a totalitarian. You're somebody who, pull up the definition again, you're somebody who wants to oppress the opposition. Okay, and I'm going to lean in and try to read this. You're somebody who wants to have dictatorial power, forcible suppression of the opposition, and more importantly, strong regimentation of society and the economy. Well, that's exactly what that commercial is in a nutshell. That's Buick, right? They're billionaires, aren't they? Obviously, right? You didn't see, mom and pa bakery advertising during the college national championship last night. No, you saw Buick advertising. You saw Coca-Cola advertising. You saw the big hitters, right? The billionaires of the world, the one percenters. So the one percenters get on TV, right? Trying to dictate the economy. And when that's not good enough, when just simply selling cars isn't good enough, now they have to dictate, they have to regimentate society, right? They have to tell you how woke to be. They have to tell you, excuse me, they have to tell you, what do I have, COVID? Excuse me. Might need a sip of water. Might need my producer to go get me a sip of water.
Yeah, all right. Do you want me to go get water for you?
If you don't mind, would you?
Yeah, no, that's all right.
Appreciate that. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the God Freedom Podcast, the We the People Podcast Network. My producer's going to grab me a little sip of water. I think the fascists, they got me. They got a hold of my public speaking skills here. Throat's a little dry, but that's okay. We'll take a quick little break here. Maybe there'll be a Buick commercial. We'll get a couple $1 million. Do you think Buick will advertise for us, Austin?
Yeah.
Definitely after this show, right?
Sponsored by Buick.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. All right, we might be able to recover now.
You know, Chad, only 10% of podcasts are hosted by women.
Oh, gosh. But you know what? When they are hosted by women, they're phenomenal, aren't they?
They are.
We're talking
They're
Kimberly's
revolutionary,
Revolution, aren't we?
Yeah. Revolutionary, for sure.
That's for sure. All right, so the point is this. The fascists, the communists at the South Pole of the political spectrum, they want to control you, right? They want to regiment society. They want to tell you what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. They want to tell you how to think when it comes to gender, et cetera, et cetera. So let's move on and get into a similar topic, but just a slightly different situation going on here. Let me just cross off some things here in my notes. All right, let's talk Rainbow Club. Ready for this one, folks? Now, some of you have probably seen this floating around on social media. Rainbow Club. What in the hell is a Rainbow Club? I don't know, but we're going to try to figure it out. So apparently in the Pittsford Central School District, right? The town of Pittsford here in Rochester, New York. Pittsford's a suburb. It's a pretty, I don't want to say elite, but it's, it's an affluent suburb in the city of Rochester. So the Pittsford Central School District, apparently, I don't know if this is coming from the Board of Education or where this is coming from. I guess it doesn't quite matter where it's coming from. It's here. This is their version of trying to indoctrinate your children, the Rainbow Club. So I'll just quickly go over it. Week 1, they're going to do an introduction. What is the Rainbow Club? And they're going to read books like The Gay BCs to 4 to 8-year-olds. And it's going to explain a range of LGBTQ terms. And then in week 2, they're going to talk about different kinds of families. I guess there's multiple kinds of families. Stella brings the family. It's the story of a child with 2 dads, of course. Most families would love to have 1 dad, but in these people's wonderful world where they live in a treehouse, they have 2 dads. And then Julian goes to a wedding, a lesbian wedding. Week 3, we're talking gender diversity, where it feels good to be yourself, about gender identity. I guess if it felt good just to be yourself, you wouldn't have to transgender. But anyway, then we get into week 4, self-expression and interests, a house for everybody. Again, 4 to 8-year-olds, normalizes different expression and interest, breaking stereotypes, what boys and girls like to do. Then we get into week 5. We get into the rainbow pride flag. Again, we're talking 2 to 5-year-olds now. See, now we've gone down to the 2-year-olds. Do 2-year-olds even go to school? I mean, in a progressive's world, they'll go to school right out of the womb. They'll just snatch the kid right up as soon as it's born if they're not able to get it aborted first, and then start teaching it about the pride flag. So we're going to teach 2-year-olds about the pride flag. That makes sense, right? And then week 6 is the no name calling week. So where do we begin with this? All right, this is where we begin with this. So I know the sarcasm sometimes just drips right out of my mouth, but if you can believe me for half a second, I mean this. I'm going to try to really figure this out because I don't know how this stuff works. Because apparently only 1%, I think I have an article, Austin, if you could pull that up real quick. Apparently only 1% of children aged 9 to 10, right? 9 to 10, not 2-year-olds, not 3-year-olds, not 4-year-olds, not 5-year-olds, not 6-year-olds, not 7, not 8, but 9 to 10-year-olds. And only 1% of them already identify as gay or transgender or, throw in the rest of the initials in there, the rest of the LGBTQ elemental Ps. So if only 1% of children age 9 to 10 know if they're gay or transgender, then how am I, as a 47-year-old straight heterosexual white male, supposed to understand what in the fuck is going on here? Right? How am I supposed to understand any of this? And of course, if I don't understand it and I ask questions, or if I ask questions and draw my own conclusions and then draw the opposite conclusion or a different conclusion than what these wokesters at Buick are trying to tell me to draw and what the Rainbow Club wants me to believe and what Pittsford School District forces me, demands me, requires me to believe, right? I have to believe their religion, right? This is their religion. This is their dogma, right? And if I don't believe it, then I'm bad, right? Then I'm anti-gay and I'm anti this and I'm anti that and I'm a bad person and I should be, retrained and I should go to sensitivity classes and I should do this and I should do that. So I tried to draw myself a flow chart. So Vicky says, RC, Rainbow Club. RC is being pushed by New York State PTSA, that's the Parent Teachers School Association, targeting K-5, middle and high school, have student-run gay straight after school clubs. Okay, so thank you, Vicky, for that information. So I tried to draw myself a flow chart, and I'm really trying to figure this out. So, and if I had more time, I would have typed it up and it would have been all fancy. We'd have it up on the screen, but I have it right here in my notes. I'm an attorney, so I use my fancy legal pad here. All right. So let's start with this. You start off as a male. Can I even make that assumption? Is there even a baseline assumption anymore that somebody actually might be born as a male? I don't even know. I honestly don't know, but I have to start somewhere. So I'm going to start with you're a male, and you're a male. You're born a male, you're a male, you pull your shorts open and you look and you can tell that you're a male. Now, at some point in time, you decide, I guess, that you're confused, that there's some gender issue going on, that there's some gender diversity thing playing out in your head. I don't know how that works because, again, I'm just an old white guy. But you decide at some point that you're really a female, or that you want to be a female. Again, I don't know. I don't know how that works. So, but either way, you start to transition, however that works. I don't know either, but you start to transition to becoming a female. All right. So now the flow chart takes us from, you started off as a male, which according to Ketanji Brown Jackson, she wouldn't be able to define that, but I'm going to do it for you because it's simple. You have a freaking penis, right? You're a man. You're born. You have a penis, right? The doctor holds you up, shows you to your mom and says, it's a boy, right? I mean, is that done too? Did the doctors not do that anymore, Austin? I don't know.
No, I think they just say it's a baby.
It's a baby. There you go. So
Yeah.
You don't want to offend the baby because the baby might hear you. The mom might hear you. The dad might hear you. Somebody listening in the other room might hear the doctor and get offended and run out screaming. So it's a baby, right? But no, the doctor says it's a boy. And then at some point, the boy says, I'm a girl, and then you transition or you do whatever you do and you start wearing different clothes and start swimming with the girls and whatnot and winning trophies. So now you're a girl, you're a female. Now, that's gender, right? That's gender identity. But now we're talking sexuality, right? And this is where it gets all confusing to me. I don't understand. I don't understand if they're the same, if they're different. So you're a female. Are you a heterosexual female? Are you a gay female? I don't get how that works. Let's assume for a minute that you're a male that became a female and you're heterosexual. So are you a heterosexual female that wants to have sex with a female? So you go out to the bar, you hook up with a female, a biological female. It's a girl, right? And then, but what if she's straight? Does she know that you used to be a man? And then, but what if the female is gay? What if the male that becomes a female finds a female and wants to have heterosexual relationships, sexual relationships, except the female is a lesbian and wants to have sex with a female?
I feel like
she thinks she's about to have sex with a female, but then the female was a male who thought
one of
I
these
don't get
terms,
this shit. I don't understand
one of
how
these
this
terms
works.
has to cover that. One of these
You would think.
I you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna guess gender queer. I'm gonna put that under the queer category.
Well, the funny thing about that, there is a test later. And I'm not even kidding. There's going to be a test later. I found that too. We're going to pull that up in a little bit.
There's
going to be a test on these things. You took it. Great. Are you a boy or a girl?
I'm a boy.
Are you a boy or are you an angry right wing, whatever the show title is that I don't remember because it's too long?
I'm not a vile left-wing lunatic. I'm a boy.
All right. So now my flow chart continues. Hold on. Let me see if I can follow it because again, this is very hard. I'm just reading my notes here. Then you have gay sex with a male who is gay, except the gay male sees you as a female now. What if, all right, so now let's go back to the top. You're this male now, right? Now, what if, is it possible? I don't know. What if you identify as being gay first? And when I say identify, I don't mean to suggest that it's a choice. I really don't, because I honestly, if it's okay, right? If it's okay to the angry LGBTQ crowd out there, if it's okay for a minute, I don't know the answer yet, right? Is that okay for me not to know the answer? I think I'm intelligent. I do have a law degree. I do think about things. I'd like to think I have some modicum of an open mind, but I haven't wrapped my mind around it yet. I haven't done any scientific studies or research on it, but nonetheless, if you figure out at some point that you're a gay male, do you then also potentially decide to transgender? And then that's what leads us to this problem that I just identified. I just don't get it, because if you start off as a gay male, then why do you transgender in the first place? Why don't you just stay a gay male and do whatever sexual activity you want to do, and nobody's going to care, nobody's going to know?
See, I've always thought that transgender should be a separate thing. Like they lumped it in with the LGB. But I feel like the T is its own thing.
I agree.
Whatever, like, all right, I identify as whatever. That's separate from I'm attracted to whatever.
Yes.
Right?
And that's exactly my point, is that this whole narrative, right? Where we have to have these groups and these clubs that are claimed to be based upon inclusion and diversity and equity and blah, blah, blah. It's always the opposite, right? It's always the exact freaking opposite. So I can't make the gays do anything that they can't make me do either, right? I don't want to force anyone to watch the Women's College National Championship game, and I don't want to force a gay person to do anything, but I ask them to, and I implore them to, why don't you stand up and and separate yourselves from this ridiculous, disgusting, immoral movement of, you know, you're somehow connected to transgenderism, right? This whole LGBTQ, blah, blah, blah. No, you're okay. If you're gay, you're gay, right? Let's just run with that. Just be gay. But then how do you allow the transgenders to link up with you? Because it doesn't make any sense at that point. You just can't make any sense of it. If you don't know your gender, how the hell can you know what your sexuality is? I'm really at a loss. And again, that's why I tried to draw the flow chart, but it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I can't make sense of it. So, you know, you tell me.
Well, that's why they had to keep adding letters.
Well, exactly. And that goes to another point. And there's something that I sent you. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can pull up what I was looking for here. It was something that showed us some statistics on this. 3% up to 7%. Maybe the last thing I sent you. Yeah. Okay. The percentage, this is a recent article in the news. It cites a study. Percentage of LGBTQ adults in the U.S. has doubled over the past decade. Gallup finds. Okay, what's your point, right? I mean, statistics are statistics. They can be spun, they can be twisted, they can be taken out of context, they can be put into any context that you want them to be put in. They really can, right? The classic example that I've always used is this. When a particular municipality tells you that crime has decreased by half or it has increased by double, it can be something as manipulative as this, that when they claim that it decreased by half from year over year, think about this. What happens in those situations is often this. Crime decreases, right? Let's say from 2019 to 2020. Well, in 2019, when somebody committed 3 crimes all at once, it was reported as 3 separate crimes. And then all of a sudden in 2020, whatever politician is running for office wants to argue that crime decreased, then they simply report the crime statistics differently, right? Now they lump all 3 crimes in together. When somebody commits 3 crimes together, they call it one crime occurrence. Now crime went down by 3-fold, just like that. Same amount of crimes were committed from 2020 to 2021, but they report them differently, and they argue that they went down by 2/3 or 1/3 or whatever the corresponding percentage would be. You get the point. So now let's go back to this. Supposedly, the percentage of LGBTQ adults in the U.S. has doubled over the past decade. And I say, so what? What the hell is your point? And I think the years, once you scroll down through the article, I think they go from 2012. Can you see that, Austin? Does it start in 2012 to 2022? Is that what they're reporting?
Yes. Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay.
3.5% in 2012 to 7.1 in 2022.
Okay. So to Austin, to your point that you made a moment ago, how many letters were in this LGBTQ XYZ? How many letters existed back in 2012?
Well, exactly. And I
Maybe
have
the L?
the LGB
G?
and the B. That's bisexual.
Yeah. So then, of course, it was 3.5% because that's all that existed was certain categories. What if? So is this?
I also have one other theory.
Yeah. Go for it.
It is also now just more like who is in the
100%.
closet anymore?
Yeah.
You know. So I don't think it's like, oh, there's more gay people. It's just now okay, now they're checking that box on whatever.
Yep.
Survey.
Absolutely.
And so I don't think it's going to keep going. I think it's going to hit a ceiling where it's like, yeah, okay, 7% of the population is gay.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Austin.
Yeah.
If in a year, whoever wrote this article circles back, and now the letters are I got to write them out because I always forget them. LGBTQ, X, Y, Z, and H. What if we had an H to the end of it? What's H stand for?
Homosexual?
Heterosexual.
Oh, okay. Well,
what if we had an H to the end? Now what happens to that 7-point-something% today?
Well, presumably that would be 100%.
Thank you. So again, I say, what in the hell's the point, right? What's the point of these articles? Of course, the answer is this. The answer is the same as it was for the Buick commercials, right? It's called fascism. It's called communism. It's called corporate America partnered with the powers to be in the government. The elites in the government are trying to force us to think a certain way. And once they force us to think a certain way, then they can start to either watch us act a certain way unconsciously, or just go ahead and force us to act a certain way. And if you don't think that's true, just look around, right? Look at the Rainbow Club. This is them. This is the corporate elites, the government elites forcing on your children, forcing you as parents to act a certain way. Because if you speak out against it, you will be shot down. You will be told that you're an intolerant right-wing communist, or a right-wing fascist, I should say. You'll be told that you're mean-spirited and that you're a bully and that you're anti-gay and so on and so forth. You'll be told all those things. And if you don't believe me, let's look at one of the books that they're reading. So we have the Gay BCs. Let's pull up the Gay BCs. Did I send you that, the link to that book, Austin? You know what? I might not have.
Hold on.
I have it here on my phone if you don't have it.
I think it's somewhere behind these ads.
That's it right there.
Yes. Is there a picture?
So does that start with Matt Webb, 33, was 5 years old?
Yes. Let me see here. Get this up.
Matt Webb, 33, was 5 years old when he became aware of his gender identity and sexual orientation. Of course, that defies the last article that said that one of the articles we looked at that says that only 1% of 9 to 10-year-olds. So if only 1% of 9 to 10-year-olds know of their identity, so on and so forth, how the hell does a 5-year-old know what his sexual orientation is? I mean, is there any science behind any of this? Does a 5-year-old really know or identify with their sexual orientation?
Well, I bet you there's some science that shows that 5-year-olds are susceptible to, suggestion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly, do you have any visible, so to speak, childhood memories of when you were 5? Can you even recall a memory from when you were 5?
I like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Are any of them centered around sex?
No.
And you don't, and if you're Catholic, you don't have to go any further. If you were in Boy Scouts, you don't have to. I'm just kidding. I was both, and I never had a problem there. So let me scroll down here. I'm trying to read this off my phone, and of course, there's nothing but pop-up ads coming when I'm trying to read through this article. So in the Gay BCs, just released by Quirk Books, I'm not sure if that quirk is pun intended, the letters that make up our alphabet are paired with terms like C is for coming out. You're ready to share what you feel deep inside. It's okay to be scared. Yeah, a 5-year-old, right? We want our 5-year-olds to feel scared about their sexual orientation. And so for the 99.99% of our children who aren't afraid, who don't have any confusion, who don't have any fear, who are fully heterosexual, they know it even though they don't yet, and they'll find it out when they go through pre-puberty and puberty and young adulthood, and they're going to be straight, and they're always going to be straight, and they're going to be heterosexual, and they're not going to have gender identity problems, and they're not going to be gender fluid, and they're not going to be this, that, and the other. For that 99.9%, right, let's do the opposite. Let's indoctrinate them at the age of 2, at the age of 3, at the age of 4, at the age of 5 in Pittsford, right? Thank you, Rainbow Club in Pittsford, for making sure that we worry about the literally less than 0.5% of kids who you claim, without any science to back it, you claim that think that there's something other than what they can see when they undress themselves, right? We're moving on in the letters. So C is for coming out. I is for intersex. I thought that was where two cars came together at a traffic light. Oh, that's an intersection. Sorry.
Tom made that same joke during Kimberly's show.
Come on.
He did.
That's horrible. That's bad programming. I wish you would have told me that before I said that.
I'm sorry. We need
Can't
to,
you read my
go over
mind?
these things.
Come on. So intersex, quote, some are born with the parts of both a boy and a girl. Bodies are works of art, right? You know, so, and look, this just sums it all up for me. Some are born with the parts of both a boy and a girl. Is that true? Scientifically, I don't even know.
So
I guess it
the old
is.
term was
Might be.
hermaphrodite.
Okay, does that still happen?
It's literally, it's less than like 0.1%. It's like one of the like rarest genetic anomalies.
So and because there's no science, then they followed up with bodies are works of art, right? Because what's essentially the opposite of science? And they're not truly opposites in the sense of black versus white, you know, but art. All right. So because they don't have science, they say that the body is a work of art, right? Because none of this is scientific. This is just, it's their art. It's their religion. It's their dogma that they're trying to put on us, right? P is for pan. You connect with a vibe. No matter the gender, it's about what's inside. There's poems and illustrations in an attempt to help readers ages 4 to 8 to begin to have a dialogue about identity with their loved ones. It's the kind of book that I wish I had as a child, he said. When I was 5 years old, I knew that I felt differently than the people around me, but I didn't have the words, right? Horse shit. You know, and again, giving the full benefit of the doubt to everything that's in that book, because again, if you take what they say as being true, you can still beat them at their own game. If all of that is true, which it's not, but if all of that is true, why are we catering, so to speak, to the minutia, right? To this so-called one person out of a million, right? It's the proverbial 1 in a million.
Yes,
right?
I just looked up intersex, by the way. It's 0.018%.
Yeah, is that even 1 in a million? I don't even know. I'm terrible at math and whatnot like that, but
yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah, 1 in a million. So because of the 1 in a million, we have to have a rainbow club? Why? What are they trying to teach the other 99.9%? You claim that you don't want kids to be confused, right? You want to help them. You because the 1 out of a million's confused and you're going to help them. You're going to help the 1 out of a million be unconfused by confusing the rest? What kind of horse shit is that? How does that make any freaking sense? Now imagine the 5-year-old who's not confused, but is so impressionable. It's so non-age appropriate, right? What happened to age appropriateness? And again, let's assume all this stuff is legit. Why does teaching sex education transcend age appropriateness? So if it's okay, well, I should say if it's not okay, because it's never been okay. It's never been okay up until now, up until this ultra woke left-wing crazy movement of the Rainbow Club in Pittsburgh, right? Up until now, it was never okay to teach sex to a 5-year-old, right? We just don't do that. It doesn't make sense. We don't teach it to 6-year-olds or 7-year-olds or 8-year-olds or 9-year-olds or 10-year-olds or even 11-year-olds. We just don't do it. We never have. So why does it make sense just because some kid might be transgender or have a gender identity crisis? I don't want to teach sex to that kid either. He doesn't know anything about sex yet. He's not ready for that. He's not he or she or whatever he or she thinks he or she isn't ready for that discussion either. I don't want to confuse that kid either. This is all horse shit, and they know it. It's sickening. There needs to be an end at some point. These people are perverts. They really are. The people that are pushing this stuff are sick perverts. And and the funny thing is that we never know who they are. Right? They're literally the boogeyman. They always mock us, right? And say, "Oh, you got some boogeyman argument going. You're trying to create fear and so on and so forth." But we never know who these people are. Who are the Rainbow Club? Who is the Rainbow Club? Right? Who's behind the Buick commercials? Well, obviously Buick. But who's really behind it? Who's pushing all this shit? Because I don't hear parents per se talking about it. And maybe that's because it's, again, such a tiny percentage. But I've never heard a parent group or any sort of political group, even the left-wing political group. I've never heard one of their politicians campaign or run on this shit. I've never heard them say, when I become elected, I'm going to form the Rainbow Club. I am going to teach your 2-year-old, and you think I'm being funny, right? But no, here it is. Here's the Rainbow Club, and they want to teach to 2 to 5-year-olds the pride flag colors. I've never heard a politician or a school board member or a superintendent or a teacher go to educational school and say, my goal is when I get elected, when I get my master's in education, when I get my master's in this, when I get my doctoral, and then I become a superintendent, I'm going to teach your kids about gay sex and how to transgender from being a female to a male or from a male to a female so that they can win more Section 5 trophies in swimming. I've never heard that before. But yet somehow we always end up with this stuff. Somehow we always end up with the Rainbow Club, with the gay BCs. I don't get it. And, look, not to beat a dead horse, but this is, to me, this kind of, as you've heard me say many times recently, of course, that if a Supreme Court nominee, if Ketanji Jackson Brown, whatever the hell her name is, if she can't define what in the hell a woman is, then how can a 5-year-old figure it out? How is an educator qualified to try to teach or train or coerce, in my opinion, a 5-year-old boy into becoming a girl and vice versa? And if the Supreme Court nominee, a little bit of a diversion here, if Ketanji Brown Jackson, that is her name, right? KBG?
Yeah, KBJ.
KBJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. If Ketanji Brown Jackson can't define what a woman is, or what a man versus a woman is, then how can she rule on the legalities of the laws designed to promote and protect a woman? Because we know we have those. Whether we agree with them or not, we have them, right? I mean, we have all sorts of laws and policies and rules and regulations in the workplace predominantly about women equality and women's equal pay and breaking the glass ceiling and all this stuff. How do we have, and then when one of those laws goes in front of the Supreme Court of the United States, if Ketanji Brown Jackson doesn't know what a woman is, how does she evaluate and apply the laws that were there to supposedly protect a woman? Doesn't she have to know what the hell a woman is first? I don't get it. I just don't get this stuff. It makes no damn sense. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy stuff. Austin, it's 5:30. We're a couple minutes over.
Oh my god.
But yeah, what else is new, right? What else? I mean, look, I kind of beat this gay horse to death. Maybe the horse wants to transgender. Are there male and female horses?
Yeah, I don't know. Is transgender a specifically human phenomena? I
don't know. Look, the science, the hashtag science people, should really kind of jump on and explain this stuff to me, because I just don't get it. And I'm really not being facetious. I'm going to, while I just kind of make small talk here, I'm just kind of scrolling through the stuff that I sent you earlier today to make sure
we have not talked about the quiz in detail.
Oh, yeah. Let's get the quiz up.
All right.
Thank you. I told you there was going to be a test. How can I forget the test? All right. So look, we got to come full circle, right? That's no pun intended. The show name, am I a boy or am I an angry lunatic? Yada, yada, yada. So here's the quiz. This isn't, I mean, you can't make this shit up. Am I a boy or a girl quiz? Are you kidding me? Who puts this shit out there? And are people taking this? And if you don't know if you're a boy or girl, why do they trying to depict a boy and a girl, right? Aren't they trying to depict that that's a girl on the left in the pink and a boy on the right in the blue? No?
Wow. Did you just assume
I
their
guess.
gender?
Well, clearly there's a difference, right? Why did they put one in pink and one in blue? Maybe it's the other way around, but why did they do it? All right, so look.
Can I just point to
Yeah, you can
this
point to
number
anything
right
you
here? It
want.
says total attempts 100,960.
So there's 100,000 perverts in America that took this test.
Well, and
I
also
apologize. You said you took
me
it.
because you sent it to me.
See, look what I did. I turned you into a pervert just like that. I transgendered you into a pervert. So what are the let's just quickly go through a couple of the questions. What's question number 1, Austin?
What are you wearing?
What are you wearing? I'm wearing pants. I'm wearing khakis, and I'm wearing this very unprofessional mock tee.
Okay, so a t-shirt and pants.
There you go.
There you go.
So what does that make me? Oh, we're gonna take the. All right, let's take.
Yeah,
the test.
there's 10 questions. Let's just go through it.
Go for it. You ask the questions, I'll answer them.
Favorite color? Red, blue, yellow?
I'll tell you. My favorite color is blue.
Okay. All right. I don't know. There's some, silver and gold.
I don't want to say white because I don't want to be accused of being a racist. Go on.
Which of these magical creatures would you want to be?
Jesus.
Are you a mermaid, werewolf, dragon, vampire? Are you a fairy?
Oh.
Unicorn, witch, pixie, angel?
Probably a monster. Most people would say I'm a monster. Let's go with monster.
Okay. Did you read Twilight? Did you like it?
I never heard of it, so I'm going to say no.
Oh, that's the one with the sparkly vampires?
Right.
That guy plays Batman now.
Is he a boy or a girl?
He's a Batman, so I assume he's a man.
Good point.
Which of these shows do you like better? This one I had to lie because I have never heard.
I've never heard of either one.
Yeah, my life is. I chose Robot Boy.
I'm going to go with My Life as a Teenage Robot because I actually have heard of that.
Okay, I hadn't heard of either.
Those look like girls.
With my friend, I play dress up or dolls, play tag or blocks, talk and shop, play sports and fight, cook, shop and talk, drink coffee or beer, tell jokes, and play video games.
I'm going to go with, none of them completely apply, so I'll go with the last one. Because I drink coffee, beer, tell jokes. I don't play video games too much, but.
It's a good time. Do you have a pet?
Yes.
All right, what's your pet?
It's a pussy cat.
Okay.
I'm worried. I'm starting to get worried that I might turn into a girl during this test.
Yeah.
I think I started off firmly entrenched as a man, but now I think they're trying to sway me here. But keep going.
Butterfly or lion?
Man, I'm afraid of lions.
Are you gonna go?
I like butterflies. I'm gonna go butterfly.
Right.
See, look, I am gender fluid right now. I think.
Is that what that means? You like butterflies?
Yeah, I'm fluidly. My fluids are.
You look at a TV, the mirror, girls or boys.
I don't know if my wife is watching or listening. I'm gonna go with. I look at. I spend a lot of time in front of the mirror in the morning because I have all these gray hairs on the side and I hate them, so I kind of try to clip them out. So I'm gonna go with the mirror.
Oh, okay. Oh, geez, we're getting close to the edge here, Chad.
I know. I'm worried.
Which of these holidays do you prefer? Valentine's Day, Halloween, Easter, or Thanksgiving?
Well, look, Easter's a religious holiday, so that probably shouldn't be up there because that's probably offending somebody. Thanksgiving, we all know what happened there. We killed all the Indians, so that's offensive.
Oh, geez.
I really like Halloween. That's offensive to Christians. Valentine's Day, that's Saint Valentine. There's a lot of offensiveness going on here. I'm gonna go Thanksgiving.
That's what I went with. That's the right choice.
Yeah, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of the results here.
You're a boy. You got boy.
Oh,
you are a dude.
God. Is there like a level of masculinity assigned to my test score or no?
I don't think so because I also got boy.
Does it say that you barely made it?
Yeah, like I wonder if there was like a man option, because you got boy.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. So I could be that 5-year-old who's still confused, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. So now look, that took what, 6-7 minutes?
Yeah, roundabouts.
I have a real simple test. All right. I'm not going to make you do this.
Thank goodness.
For many reasons. I'm not going to ask you to make me do it either for many reasons. But there's also a real simple test too. Unzip your pants, right? Unzip your pants. That you'll know what you are. You'll know if you're a boy or a girl. You don't have to answer questions. You don't have to be pigeonholed into whether you like butterflies or lions and what's your favorite color, Because isn't that kind of counterintuitive to the whole woke, progressive, inclusive movement? Isn't it so funny that the woke, progressive movement of inclusivity and equality and equity is all about stereotyping, right? They're all about stereotyping. They're all about, hey, if your favorite color's purple and you like butterflies and you watch this kind of show and you play with these types of toys and you wear these colors, then you must be a girl. You must be a female. And if you fight and drink beer, you must be a man, right? Isn't it funny how that shit works?
Yeah, why can't you just be like a dude who likes girly shit?
Exactly. And why can't you be a girl that likes boy stuff? Why can't you? Look, two of my three daughters have been athletes. They play sports. They play softball. They run track and things like that.
But they only get 10% of media attention.
That's probably a good place to end.
Yeah.
But that's because nobody cares, right? And if they played chess, and if my son played chess in college, nobody would care about that either, right? So we'll leave it off at that. Thank you for joining me today, Chad Hummel, the Got Freedom podcast here on the We the People Podcast Network. Please go to our website, wethepeoplepodcastnetwork.com. I don't even know if I got that right.
Perfect.
Go to the Facebook page, the We the People Podcast Facebook page. Like the Facebook page. Go to YouTube. We're on all the other podcast things. I'm good at this stuff, aren't I? And share this out, please. And thanks to Austin. Thanks to Rockvox Productions for putting this on for us. You guys all have a great night. Go America. Buy more ammo.